Good morning, everybody. How are we doing today? Heading into a lovely bank holiday weekend. I often go on about the weather at the start of my webinars. Today in Newcastle, it is slightly overcast, a little bit cold. Hopefully it's a bit better where you are, and hopefully it'll be better over the weekend as well. Today, though, let's focus on the content that we're going to be looking at. Sage 50 accounts using the demonstration and practice companies, which come part and parcel of your actual package itself. My name is Matt again. I'm going to be guiding you through today's webinar. It's going to be around about 30 minutes. Depending on questions, it could overrun. It could be a bit quicker. I would probably bank on around about 20-25 minutes. It is just me today, though, so it'll just be me answering your questions. So when they come in, when I reply to a question, you won't be able to see the question that's being asked because I won't be typing the response. I'll be verbally communicating the response. Don't worry if you miss something, a follow-up email with the webinar will be in there afterwards anyway. So there's no chance you won't miss anything. What are we going to be covering though? Well, first off, we're going to look at what is demonstration data and what is practice data. Why is there two versions of something that's quite similar as well? What are the uses of them? We're going to have a look at a couple of frequently asked questions. Again, you asked for the webinar, so we built it and we're delivering it. So the questions that constantly come in about these two areas of the program, what are they? What are the answers? Then we're going to go into demonstrations, because I think it's best, as always, I always say, for you to see these two features in action rather than just be told about them. If you're like me, you're a visual learner and you much prefer being able to either click along or just store the images in your memory for later on. That's what I would do. Then we'll have a look at the summary and further support questions and answers, and also what else is available to you at Sage as well. We might touch on a couple of things today, depending on time. But if you've been here before, you'll know the rules. If not, these are the rules. Your microphone's automatically muted. So if you need to cough and sneeze, don't worry, we're not going to hear you. You won't be interjecting. If you decide to sing along to your radio, you can do. Don't worry, we're not going to hear you. That's not a trick. There's also a handout attached to this webinar, one in black and white, one in colour. Black and white is there if you want to print it, save some ink. The colour one is there if you're going to keep it on your desktop, but both contain the same links. Okay, so don't worry. One isn't different to the other, apart from the fact that one is more printer friendly than the other. So as I say, we've gone over what we're going to be looking at today. We'll go through that generally as we drift through this webinar. Housekeeping rules all done and dusted. So let's beginning at the start. What is demonstration data? Well, quite simply, it's a pre-configured sample data that comes included in the off-the-shelf version that you've got of your Sage 50. It's available in all variants, as I touched on right at the start there. It's built in, completely fictional. You can Google the names, the addresses, everything you want to. You'll not find anybody real associated with the company itself, which is Stationery and Computer Mart UK. One of the most common questions when I was a tech that used to come through was, I think I've accessed somebody else's data. That is a question that came through quite often. Don't worry, you have not. If it's Stationery and Computer Mart UK, that's the one that we made up for you. And we made it up so you could safely explore the features of Sage 50. Run reports, navigate it, have a play with it. It's great for learning or showing people what you want them to do in Sage, just as a bit of a practice. And it's the original that we had, demonstration data. It's been there for quite some time. So if that's demonstration data, what's practice data? Well, practice data, again, available in all variants. And again, it's a safe testing environment, enables you to try out routines for your processing. Good question from Lynn. You shouldn't be seeing me as a human, but hopefully you can see my screen. Just answering a quick question there, sorry. So yeah, it's a safe testing environment, enables you to try out your processes, explore the features within Sage as well. This time, it's applicable to your data or data that you've set up personally. I'll go into more detail on that one when we go through the demonstration, but it's more specific to yourselves on that instance. The data as well is resettable and it's isolated again. like demonstration data. So anything you do in either of these features isn't going to affect your live data whatsoever. I want to get that out there as soon as possible, because another common question is, what's this going to do to my accounts? Nothing. They're completely separate, absolutely separate. This one's ideal for training, specifically if you're going to be using your data. You could set tasks for a new starter, or even tasks for yourself, and you could see, have they been done correctly? Let me have a look here. So, yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Lynn. That is very good of you. Let me have a look and see if I can fix that. If you could let me know if that's better. I think we've had a technical hitch there. So you should be able to see what is demonstration data now. Hopefully. I presume that is the issue. Yes, it is. It's being resolved there. Thanks. Somebody else has answered that one there. Brilliant. So that is demonstration data, and that is practice data. Again, these are available in the slides. You haven't missed much. Other than that, there was the housekeeping. But these are the two slides that you missed there. So pre-configured sample data, safe exploration tool. Same again with practice data. And again, you can download the handout. You've got a copy of those slides forever. So frequently asked questions. Will data reset if I close my Sage 50 accounts? And remember, this isn't your live company. This is demonstration data and practice data. So with demonstration data, it saves the changes that you've made. So if you were to open demonstration data now, enter in a load of customers practicing how they would look, you would close down Sage 50, come back in a couple of weeks' time, those customers would still be there. Practice data, however, resets when you leave, unless you set the company up yourself in practice data, and you can choose to continue from where you left off. Again, in the demonstration, I'll show you that. Can I use bank feeds in demonstration data or practice data? The answer is no, for good reason. You can't connect any apps or add-ons or connected services to practice or demonstration data. It is a common question, and people often ask, why can't you do that? The reason is, and I'm just going to use one example here. Imagine HMRC getting countless VAT returns sent in from Stationery and Computer Mart UK. Even worse, imagine an HMRC receiving a practice version of your data as the real thing. Bank feeds the same, downloading transactions, etc. It's not wise for us to connect that data at all. So that's why we created the sandbox environment, completely safe, away from any kind of connections, where you can go in there and you can break it as much as you absolutely want to without consequence on anything real, as it were. If you do need confidence in connected services, please watch the dedicated webinars to the connected service that you need that help with. So if it's remote data access, if it's bank feeds, anything like that at all, get in touch. We can guide you through those processes live. Can I save a backup of the data? So can you save a backup of demonstration and practice data? Well, I'll tell you what, no. In demonstration data, it is possible to save a backup of your demo data. I wouldn't advise that at all unless you were practicing it, because why would you want a copy of demonstration data that means nothing? And let's be honest with you, human error does occur. What happens one day if somebody restores that backup over your live company data? You're not going to be too happy with that. So it's not wise to. It is potentially possible. Demonstration data, I'll show you how, just so you're aware, not that you should be doing it, but just so you know where it is. Practice data, you can't whatsoever. Again, because of the fact that if you're going to be practicing things in practice data on a copy of your data, maybe it's not how you want things to look, but you end up restoring that backup. It's not going to be great. So again, complete sandbox, individual, unique environments for you to test out the software. Let's have a look at the demonstration. Let's move into that next. So you should be able to see my Sage 50 accounts in front of you now. Okay, I'm currently in my practice company, which is year end. This is what I usually do my demonstrations on year end in. It's easy for me, it's an identifier. How do I get to demonstration data? Well, a couple of ways. First off, when you first open your Sage account, you're presented with your company selection screen more often than not, and there's demonstration data there. You'll notice it's kept on the C drive because each and every single terminal, PC, laptop, whatever it may be, that has Sage 50 accounts, has its own version of demonstration data saved to its C drive. Okay? It's unique to you. So the changes that you make in your demonstration data are going to stay in your demonstration data. Nobody else is going to be seeing them unless you share them. So that's the first way. And you would just click Open Company as you would normally. The other way is a bit more self-explanatory. Is if you're in a company, File, Open Demo Data. One click. And that will open. How do you know you're in demonstration data? Well, here we are. Fake company name right at the top there. Stationery Computer Mart. That's the identifier. That's how you know you're not in there. If you need any more clues, then just start having a click around. I'd be surprised if everybody on this webinar has an A1 Design Services, an ABS Garages, and a Bob's Building Services, or supplies, sorry, available to them. So again, it would just be a bit of investigation if you hadn't noticed this at the top there. Again, a common question is how you can differentiate the two. So what can we do in demo data? What is the point of it all? Well, you can practice things. So you could even go into your company preferences. And because it's company preferences, you know that it is only going to affect this company. It's not a system change. So if you went to the company preferences and you wanted to have a look at reporting, you wanted to check some parameters. How do I set things up? For example, I've got a data management webinar that I've been running recently. And if you wanted to practice using data management, you would tick enable in this box. So let me just show you that in action. I'm going to remove this, enable, and click OK. I'm going to go tools, period end. As you can see, there's no data management option there. If I go back to settings and company preferences, back to parameters, put a tick in enable, click OK. Just for an instance, you will then see that data management is now an option. I went through that quite quickly. I appreciate that. But that's because the webinar isn't about data management. It's just showing you the changes that could potentially be made. If you wanted to have a look at, editing customer accounts, you could do. You could practice batch changes within this area before you wanted to make them. You could individually edit customers. You could have a look and see what is actually in the customer record screen. What does it mean? What happens if I click this button? So for example, if you were in the graph section, what happens if I was to click options? It pops up with this. If I click all of these, all of a sudden, oh, I might try that in my live data. Might make it a line graph. Again, I'm not going to go into all these features and what they do. It's just to show you what is available and what you can do. And this is exactly what demonstration data is there for you to do. Have a look, mess around with it. Now, I mentioned company changes. So obviously company preferences changes what's in your company. If you wanted to make changes to the system, the program itself, they would carry through to your other companies. So let's do it for instance of that. Configuration. If I went into my configuration here and I had a bit of a look around, again, this is all company based, email address, etc. If I went to tools and options, however, this is the system stuff. This is the program stuff, tools and options. If I went for colors and I wanted to change the color of my customers so I could easily see them, sometimes people need eye-catching things to separate lines in graphs and what have you. So we introduced this a while ago. I'll show you what it is though. So if I change the color of customers, for example, to green, clicked OK. When I then go to customers, it's then created these lovely coloured, well, depending if you like green or not, lines that separate everything. Now that change that I've made here isn't company specific, it is system specific. So if I quickly go to my data again, my company data, which is the year end, remember I was using as a for instance, and I was to, now that I'm in year end, if I was to click on my customers section, top left here, unexpected error. Here we go. Then you can see the system's, it's continued. Even though I made the changes in demonstration data, it's gone through to my real data. So the program changes will take effect across the board, is the point I'm getting across there. I'm just going to change it back now, just in case nobody who's watching likes it. But feel free to change yours. And we're going to go back to demonstration data. There we are, straight back in. So system changes will carry through. Computer changes, PC program changes will carry through. Company specific changes will not. Other things that you can do in here. You could do a VAT return. As you can see, I haven't done one. I could enter one though if I wanted to. Let's just change this to, I'm going to create these dates here. Again, I can do because it is the nature. I'm going to calculate VAT. It's found 24 transactions. Here we go. And I can just go through and see what each button does. Test out the system. Break it as much as you want. This is the area I was telling you. You can take backups if you wanted to. Again, I don't know why you would. But some of the areas of the program are open to taking backups. This one, and if you wanted to, for example, practice your year end, which is a common one, then in here you could also take a backup. It would allow you to do that there. Hopefully I'm not going too fast with you with this one. But yeah, again, demonstration data is just that. It is a demonstration of the product. Loads of fake transactions in there. Nominal code structure is set up to default. So is the chart of accounts. There's fake products and services, customers, quotations, invoices galore. So this is if you just want to see what it does and you're not bothered about the detail, the information. You're just bothered about, you know, the processes, the mechanics. Test out the mechanics in here. Get a new starter, a junior, give them demonstration data. Have a play about with it, set them some tasks. What's the other one? Well, from version 30 upwards, you can restore your company data and you can restore it into a practice company. Version 29, you still can do this. There's a different way about doing it. In the handout, there is a guide on version 29 on how you do this because it is a bit different. But because there's been a few versions since then, we're going to focus on version 30 upwards and how it's a lot easier in version 30 upwards to access your data in a practice. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a backup. Okay, it's key. Let's say in my year-end data, I want to practice my year-end. I've got my year-end to do, right? But I'm not confident to do it in my live data yet. So I want to practice it first. But I'm not interested in using demonstration data. I want to see how it looks in my data because there's transactions in there I want to see. So this is why we introduced it. First thing I would do for this instance is file and backup. What I would potentially do is I would save this to my desktop, okay? And I would call it practice year end. Big letters, I know what I'm doing here. Data only, that's my backup. I'm going to check the backup because obviously I don't want any errors. That comes back fine. And the backup has been taken. Then what I want to do is open practice data. Two ways of doing that. I either go to the company selection screen and open practice data, or I click file, open practice data. Now, when I click these, eagle-eyed may have seen a third option then. I'm going to show you that. When I click either of those options I've just shown you, you can either use your data or you can use blank data. If you were to use blank data, I'm going to cover this one first. If you were to use blank data, it would open up a blank company, completely blank. Nothing. Okay? In fact, I'll show you quickly because it won't take long. Absolutely nothing in there, just practice company. It even tells you you're currently in a practice company, access this, that, or the other, and there is nothing. Absolutely nothing. So it's a blank canvas for you to maybe practice entering customers, do your quotations. But if you want to do like VAT returns, there's quite literally no transactions or anything, is there? So this really is just if you at the basic level, starting the process. Or you want to give a junior, say, right, okay, enter these customers. I want to see if you've done them correctly. You could give them 10 customer details to enter. And they could go away, do the business, and then you could come back and check their work, for example. So there's that. The other option is to open practice data, but to restore a backup in there. Now, in order to do this, I'm exiting practice data so I can start the process again. So what's going to happen? We're going to go back to my original company. We've taken the backup. I want to practice my year end. Let's have a look and see how it's done. I'm going to get a warning message as well on this one. It's just because I'm not connected to any services today. So there we are. Just loading up now. And what will happen is, this time, when I click on open company data, open practice data, I'll still get the same two options. However, I can pick restore, use my data. I would browse to the backup. The third option is file, restore into practice company. And straight away that just tells you, yeah, you've told Sage, I want to restore a backup into a practice area. Where's the backup? So I'm just going to navigate to it. And I believe it was on my desktop. Apologies, I do have a bit of a messy desktop. But practice year end is the one I've picked there. Click continue. It tells me this is the backup file you're choosing. This is the company name and the version. I'm going to click yes. Restore into practice company. It'll do its thing. Depending on how big your company is and the data is, depends on how long it's going to take, if I'm honest with you. If you've got a lot of company data, it's going to take you as long as the backup would usually take to restore. I've got quite a small data set, just for the sake of this. So I've no fear. It's not going to take ages, and we're there now. So year end, how do I know I'm in a practice company again? It tells me a big amber banner. You're currently a practice company, and it tells me how to leave. File open, open company data. Self-explanatory, that, so I'm not going to label those points. But now that I'm in practice data, what am I going to do? Well, look, it's got all my customers. It's got all my invoices. It's got my transactions, 1,234. It's got everything that I've been doing in my live data. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, right, I'm going to practice my VAT return, okay? And I'm going to practice it. I need to do the 2023 VAT return, I'm going to say, VAT return, sorry. And I'm going to practice exactly what it is I've found. There's no, I have to go to 2025, sorry. I'm going to practice, see what it looks like. So there's 18 transactions in my live data that I've carried through to my practice data, and I can investigate them. And I'm not going to make any mistakes that affect anything here, because this is completely separate to the live stuff, but all these numbers are the same. Just to emphasize this point, what I'm going to do is I am going to tools, period end, data management. I can use data management in here. I can do a backup, but it won't let me. It's not supported. Click continue. I can do a clear audit trail. I want to delete these transactions here. Done. If I want to delete the invoices, I'll select them from here, delete. No records have been found. I changed that to 2020. It's been a while since I've been in this company. But you can essentially practice everything that you need to practice in this arena in order to delete them. You can practice any area of the program. If I want to delete all my invoices, let's just say I'm going to delete them all up until December 2020, 24, it won't let me because I've gone past the year-end date in which I have ran. So you know what else I can do in here? I can practice my year-end. Tools, period end, year-end. I can check my data. No issues found. I can check my chart of accounts. Again, should be no issues found. Backup, it won't allow me because again, this is a copy of real data. We don't want to have two copies of the same data if one's been practiced in. We can do the archive and then we can do the process. So I'm going to run that process. It's going to generate the report for me that I can preview. There's all the journals, and these are the journals that I would see in my live company, remember. Click OK on that. If I go to transactions, it shows me all the journals there as well. Now, if I went to period end data management and I wanted to practice my data management, guess what I would be able to do? I'd be able to delete my invoices because I've ran that year end. So everything has been boxed off. So now 84 invoices have been deleted. Every single invoice that I've had has gone in practice data. Now you may think when you first do this, uh-oh, I've just deleted every single invoice that was ever created. If I was to go file, open company data, and I was to return to my live data year end, type in my password as always. Just wait for this to load up. And I click on my invoices, look what's there, all the invoices. Not to labor the point, but they're completely separate. Again, brilliant for you to do a comparative after you've run a process. If you want to see what a process looks like and you don't want to endanger your live data, do it in practice data. The key thing to do first is take a backup. So just back it up and call it practice data. Load it in, practice what you need to practice, and then go back to your live data with now the confidence in, I know how this is going to look. I've done what I need to done. You can't restore a backup that you've been practicing on. So yes, if you do run year end, you are going to have to run it again in the live company, but that's the whole reason for practice, isn't it? And that's why footballers practice during the week. Just because they're kicking a ball on a Wednesday doesn't mean they're not going to be doing it on the Saturday. It's the nature of practice. So you are going to be doing the same process twice, but that is because you're building the confidence in that in said process, whatever it could be. And again, the ideas for this could be new starters. Give them a backup of the data, tell them to restore it at the practice company, and then give them some tasks, make some up, see what they do. That's pretty much it for the demonstrations. It's because it's that simple to use and that easy to use. Hopefully I've given you some good tips there, as well as we usually get feedback on these little things that we go through, i.e. the colors. That you can change the view, changing it into dark mode, that kind of thing. The application has to be restarted for that to happen. But yeah, hopefully you've gleaned some helpful insight into the program as well there. If you could ask your questions now, I'll come to them during the question part, but let's do a recap. So this is how you would access your demonstration data. File, open, demo data. It's also in the company selection screen. And this is how you would access your practice data. So file, open practice data, or file, restore in the practice company. Not only that, you can do it from the screens here. So in summary, we've looked at demonstration data. It's a pre-configured company, perfect for new users of Sage to have a look at established data, which is completely fictional. Practice data, your data is in a safe environment when you restore it via a backup. You can see the impact of features of the processing. How's it going to look on your numbers reports, how are they going to look? It's all available. The only thing that isn't available in practice data is backing up and connected services. Nice and simple. It's also deleted when you're leaving as well. Good question then. You've got 3 currencies. Could you have different color for each currency? Unfortunately not. It's just a separation tool. So it just kind of separates the lines on which you look on. You can have different colors for different areas of the program, but what you can't do is you can't pick, i.e. I want pound sterling to be green or dollars to be green. Would have been a better example, sorry. But these are the options that you've got here. You can also change your home screen as well. So when your Sage 50 opens up, it automatically opens to home, but you could change that to anything if you wanted to have a look at your dashboards, or you wanted to have a look at bank feeds, anything like that at all. If you find yourself opening Sage and then immediately clicking on transactions, you might want to change the initial view to transactions, because that saves you. I know it only saves you a click, but you know, it just makes it a little bit quicker. You're exactly where you need to be. Good question, though. There's a couple of guides here that I've linked. So when you download the handout, click on those, it'll take you straight to those individual guides, especially if you're using version 29. You'll want to have a look at those guides. I think the questions have kind of dried up, so I'm just going to go over a couple of other points here. Sage.co.uk/help for any advice on any issue that you have with Sage 50. Type it in, look at the support guides, review the webinars that we've put out there, have a look at the videos. If not, get in touch. We've got chat online, and we've also got our telephone-based service as well. Not only that, reintroduction of growing your knowledge, one-to-one bespoke training. So if there's an area of Sage that you're not comfortable with, stock control, CIS, construction industry, debtors and creditors, anything, we'll do hour-long sessions with you now. You book in and you speak to one of our professionals over Teams. They remote into your PC. If you've got a particular way that you want things to be processed and looked and set up even, they will do that with you over an hour session. You can't book out more than an hour, but it's an hour block is what they book out. Brilliant team, all very highly knowledgeable and experienced in Sage 50. Again, get in touch with us if you want to further an inquiry there. Other than that, though, I just want to thank you all for your attendance today. It's been great. I know it's a difficult one on a Friday, on a bank holiday, but thank you for all turning up and asking the questions that you've asked. If you could, for me, do me a favour and complete the survey after this, just to let us know what you thought. Any other topics that you want to go over, because we listen, we read absolutely every single comment and we act on them. So if you could fill in that survey, it'd be more than wonderful. Other than that, I'm going to leave you to your bank holiday weekends. I hope you all have a wonderful time. Stay safe. And if you do need anything in the meantime, just get in touch with us. You know where we are. But again, thank you and have a lovely, lovely weekend. Bye for now.